Any questions, fellas?
It just feels like starting leaving with the Auburn game, and it's been kind of tough for Juju to kind of find a rhythm after he had a good start to conference play. What are y'all seeing, or what's he seeing that's kind of been a struggle?
Yeah, I think with Juju, met with him several times in the last 2 days. I think for him it starts on the defensive end. On the games that Juju's played, when he has a defensive focus, guarding the ball, initiating our defense, being active off the ball. His offense kind of feeds off of that. Also, just his leadership in general. As a point guard in the SEC, the number one stat's winning. And normally the individual stuff takes care of itself. So a lot of confidence in Juju. He's had a good season. Like most players, we need his consistent A game each night. That's easy to sit up here and talk about. It's really hard to do. But in my opinion, it kind of starts with his mindset and him embracing each possession and being competitive. We need a lot more for him on the defensive end, and I think that'll open up his offense.
Kind of going off of that, I know the competition speaks for itself these last 3 games, but just kind of what are the biggest areas of concerns just within this skid?
Well, we've had a tough stretch, no doubt about it. That's life in BCS basketball, especially leagues like the SEC. I think we've lost 5 games. Is that right? 4 of those 5 were to ranked teams. And I think three of those 4 games against ranked teams were on the road. And so we obviously need to play better on the road. The Texas A&M game was a great win for us. We gave ourselves a chance at South Carolina. It came down to a call, no call, hit the buzzer. The other games, we just got to play better. And for 40 minutes, we have to have more consistency. In all those games, if you look at it, it's arguably that we've had, one good half. That's not going to get it done. We got to just find more consistency. I think specifically on defense, we got to do a better job of guarding the ball. The ball is what scores, whether it's one-on-one defense in the half court or whether it's stopping the ball in the break. Obviously with rotations and ball screen defense and help and all that stuff, that's important. But it all starts with guarding the ball. The ball is what scores. And we have to do a better job pressuring the ball, containing the ball. It's not just one player on our roster. If it was, that's an easy fix from a coaching point of view. But it's multiple players on our roster that just have had, many possessions in a game where we're not guarding the ball like we can or like we should.
I think different coaches handle skids differently. So how do you handle, a 3-game losing streak? How do you treat it with the guys?
Yeah, this isn't coaching speak, guys. You guys are still kind of get to know me. I wouldn't even know that we were on a 3-game skid, just like I wouldn't know if we'd won 3 games in a row. It really is a next game approach around here. You just get back to work. You control what you can control. Can we have a good practice this afternoon? Can we get some shots up tonight? Can we win in the training room, win in the weight room, win off the court? So, I don't spend a lot of time talking about last 3 games, upcoming games. It's all about today, executing our process. Feel like if we do that, the outcome will be where it needs to be when we reach the point that we deserve to win these games.
You talked about, you alluded to it in the postgame, Kentucky strong starts in both halves, but then just kind of got away from y'all. And that's kind of happened, and especially the South Carolina game as well. At this point in the season, how does a team try to maintain that all the way, especially in an away environment?
Yeah, to me, that's discipline. How we get it done, we keep working. We keep giving the guys the information, film room practice. We keep relying on our relationships that we can tell each other the truth and not have to worry about feelings or this or that. We have an objective, and so you just get back to the facts. Whether it's in the film room or the practice court or even in-game coaching, halftime, timeouts. So that's where it all starts. And this team has been good. These veteran players, for the most part, this has been a team that we've been able to present the information and not spend a lot of time, worrying about it in terms of is this the plan. Most of our time is based on, okay, this is the plan. We all believe in it. Let's go execute it.
How important is this leadership of guys like Matt and Jamin, not just right now, but over the stretch run?
Yeah, there's no backup plan, in my opinion, in our program other than player leadership, accountability. It starts with each guy holding themselves accountable. Matt's a great example. I'll say this with confidence. I've never coached a player that's more disciplined than Matt. I've coached some really good players, some guys in that same category. We got a lot of season left. Ultimate opinion on Matt personally will be based on, what's February and March end up looking like. But Matt's a guy that he takes care of his business. The next thing for guys like Matt is, can you impact others? And that's what best players have to do, and it's a tough job. A lot of players around the country, they wake up every day and they're focused on themselves. I've got to play better. I've got to help the team, and that's a full-time job. That's very, very difficult at this level. Then there's some special players around the country like a Matt that we've really, tried to encourage and embrace and challenge. Can you take care of yourself like you always have, but then also impact others? Matt's heart's in the right place. It always has been. His leadership comes in different ways. To me, when I think of Matt as a leader, I think first of just his poise. You kind of know what you get from Matt. There's not a lot of ups and downs. But again, the challenge for Matt this season, I think he's done a good job, but ultimately the story's not written yet. Can he impact others? Can he take some accountability on our team defense? Can he take some accountability on, our ball security and trying to play low turnover basketball? But Matt's done a good job, but this is obviously a huge stretch for Matt coming up. These 7 games, they need to have Matt's DNA all over them for us to be the team we'd like to be.
I know you talked about Matt's script still kind of being unwritten, with him trying the NBA draft process last year and the feedback that he got and knowing what areas to improve his game. Just so far through 24 games, in what ways do you feel like he's kind of accomplished some of that so far?
Well, I think the positives are Matt's having his most efficient season in college basketball, from his percentages to his ratios to his points allowed on defense. He's playing like an all-SEC player, and there's no doubt about it. And so, again, just getting back to the next step is, can he impact others? Can he make our team better? I don't want to speak for Matt, but I was involved in some of these conversations. But I think one of the things he heard in the feedback was to be a more efficient player. Matt's a really, really good three-point shooter. In some of the years when the stat sheet says 30%, that's just not Matt. And I think he's done a great job embracing shot selection. He's gotten himself in elite shape and condition. He's a guy that can play the minutes and very rarely gets tired. Defensively, we ask a lot from Matt. And, he's having a good season. Ask me here mid-March what I think, and I think Matt understands that too. I don't think there's a more motivated player in college basketball right now than Matt.
My question, Coach.
Appreciate you guys.